ASA, we all know it, right? And creators like myself have done so much to batter and criticize the game and mark all of its flaws, all of its failures, etc. But I wanted to do the opposite today, take it on the flip side and talk about everything ASA has got right, because there's a lot of negativity around this game, and I decided today let's add some positivity to this game, as a lot of people do like it, a lot of people do enjoy it, and for a lot of people it's better than what they got on Ark Survival Evolved. So let's just get into it. Now, coming up first, we have got mod access to console players. This has been such a big thing for so many people because, you know, with ASE, when it got into its later stages before ASA came out, PC players had loads to do as they have all these mods to engage with, whereas console players, at least some of them that I've spoken to, felt that there was a lack of content coming through for what they could enjoy. Although yes, playing all those maps that they had, because obviously they had all the base maps, there's still a heck of a lot of them on ASE, you know, that's great and they enjoyed that, but they would have liked the access to mods. And there's basically no console player that I spoke to that said, oh no, I don't want access to mods at all, I think it's horrible if we have access to mods, because that goes against it. You can just not install mods if you don't want mods, but if you want the option of having mods, then, you know, it's great that now console players do have the option of accessing those mods, because it adds a lot more experience into the game and a lot more personality and just personal experience to the game, because you can get mods which are great for you. You could even make your own mods if you're a modder yourself and put them into the game, and it's just a spark for the creativity of the audience, if you will, because it allows the art community to come together and bring all these amazing ideas together. And previously that was only accessible for PC players, whereas now it's accessible for everyone that wants to enjoy Ark Survival Ascended. Also, paid mods I think are a good thing as well. Now, I'm not going to talk about this too much because this is quite controversial, because some people think, oh, mods should be free, but you know, being a modder should be a valid job and they should get paid for the effort they put into these mods. So paid mods makes absolute sense to me, and I'd rather give back to the community, which I love, than give to the massive corporations. It's like support local businesses, support local modders, if you will, because it's our sort of local, albeit global community, but a local Ark community, and supporting all of those small creators and small modders, or larger modders as well, does do greatness for the community, in my opinion, as we're giving to the community rather than just all the big corporations up top. Those the people that have made the game to start with, but the community just gives loads of extra flair to it, which, you know, the corporations up above can't. And another thing coming is the UE5 graphics implementation. I think they've really done a good job in sort of moving Ark into this next generation, and especially with the water physics, they are absolutely gorgeous compared to Ark Survival Ascended. Now, where yes, some of the terrain is perhaps a little bit too complicated and there are rocks going everywhere, it's not all perfect like you're seeing in the trailers here, I still think it really does make it feel a lot more wild, a lot more alive, to say the least, and they've done a great job with all the foliage detail and all the tree detail and all of that. It looks far superior to what you get in Survival Evolved, and I do think the landscapes really do look more alive, and, you know, just they look a whole lot better than what they did in ASE. Now, they're a heck of a lot harder to run, and personally I think there should be some options to lower the graphical settings a bit more than you can in the game, but on their full settings everything really does look amazing. And also, coming to this foliage as well, the fact that you can have the foliage move under your feet as well adds a lot of immersion to the game. While if you just go through the bushes like you do in ASE and they're all just static, it just removes some of the immersion. And like when the trees just fall down, but they don't really fall down, they sort of just fade, whereas in ASA they all just like fall down in this great way, and everything's like really immersive in the sort of physics of the environment. The physics is vastly improved, obviously, in Survival Evolved to Survival Ascended, and again, it makes it feel sort of more real, more natural in a way, and more sort of like, yeah, this is what Ark reimagined should be like. While there are some issues in places, I still think the graphical improvements are a big thing, which is got right from ASA. ASA got it right, essentially, because it is just Ark, but really brought in to the new generation. It still has that style of the original Ark Survival Evolved, of course, because a lot of the models are taken over, but it's got that extra little charm of in the new generation, if you will, and there's all of that extra graphical fidelity, which you obviously don't get on just Survival Evolved, which you do get on Survival Ascended, which I think is really great. And coming on to something new and exclusive to ASA, even though all of these are exclusive to ASA anyway, so I don't know why I said that, but it's Bob's Tall Tales. Originally, I wasn't really much of a fan of Bob's Tall Tales, but as I've experienced more of it and more of it's come out, when it was just on Scorched Earth, it was a little bit meh. But now that more Bob's Tall Tales has come out, and you know, there's more Bob's Tall Tales options, essentially. There's 3 Bob's Tall Tales now, and that completes the set. There is a lot more content offered here, and it's a nice sort of side story to the general narrative which you get in Ark, and I think it fits very nicely with it, because it all just sort of fits into the overall vibe. Like, it works within the Ark universe. It is perfectly acceptable to have this in the Ark universe. It doesn't feel unnatural in any way. It feels very fitting to all of it, and it adds a lot of extra content, and you know, it's all great content as far as I'm concerned. You get some extra creatures as well, which is nice. Not like with the Pyromane though, because that is a fucking horrible thing, and you know, we're not going to talk about that in this video because it's everything ASA got right. Pyromane was not right, but you know, like, all of the stuff you get from Bob's Tall Tales has really been great. All the extra creatures, all the extra dinos, it's been pushing the maps, because obviously all the maps that have been releasing are the same map as they are really at its core on Ark Survival Evolved to Ark Survival Ascended. But the Bob's Tall Tales stuff has given the player base, the player community, a lot more to do with those maps, and then they can experiment with all of that, because with the island, it was just the island, but when Scorch came around, I think a lot of people were like, okay, yeah, there's a lot more to do here because of Bob's Tall Tales. While initially perhaps not the most successful because you had to pay for it as well, and it's like, oh my god, another thing I have to pay for, I still think, I think now rather than back then, it is much more valuable due to the fact that, you know, you've got a heck of a lot more content now than you did back when Scorched Earth released, and it's very viable. It was sort of a bit of an investment back then. We didn't really know what we were getting to some extent, but now we have the full extent of it, and you know, it's great coming from all of that, and there's great content on Bob's Tall Tales, and I really like the content coming from Bob's Tall Tales. Again, it's a nice extra little side thing that adds engagement, and I think is great in what it does, because it allows the wildcards to release the maps that have already come out, essentially just re-releases, obviously with all the graphical updates and graphical fidelity improvements, but with something else that the players can enjoy as well. And in some way, I think it is a little bit thoughtful and less of the cash grab, which I initially thought that it would be. So Bob's Tall Tales is really a great thing, which I think ASA got right. And it's my final thing that I've put that ASA has got right here. So that is all I have got for today, and I hope that you are enjoying ASA, because it is a game after all that we should enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, I do get where you're coming from, because there are a lot of negatives as well, but I wanted to show it in a positive light today, as I felt it'd be best to do that. Anyway, describe your favorite things about ASA in the comments below, like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, and give it up for our patrons, Ekaterina Puchkova and Karina Thorne, Dominic Maciejewski, sorry about that name, and everyone else that's on this list. All the people I've mentioned are paid members, and if you feel like that's something you want a shout out at the end of the video, go join the Patreon or become a paid YouTube member.